Selecting the correct data types when creating a database table is very important. You want to choose a data type that takes up the least amount of space but still accounts for all possibilities that might be in a value for a particular record and a particular column. And also it's very difficult and tenuous to change data types in the future. So making these decisions early on and making the correct decisions early on will make you successful as a database administrator. So say I was creating a database table that was for majors, academic majors at the university level. So my table called major, I can assume that every record in this table would be a particular major. So economics, accounting, CIS, and then the attributes that define each one of those majors. So first thing I'm going to put in my major table is an attribute for the primary key. I'm going to call that major ID. And I'll assume that that's a 3-character alphanumeric prefix. So at NAU we use ACC for accounting, CIS for computer information systems, ECO for economics. This is our primary key, and since these are always going to be 3 characters and they are going to be strings, so they're going to be characters, I think they're all alphabetical. We don't have any numerals in them, but still a char data type makes the most sense because a char is not going to be variable. We are going to specify that every single record in this table is going to have a length of 3 characters. ACC, CIS, ECO. That makes sense. And a primary key can never be null. It can never have a null value. Let's put in another attribute. How about the name of the major? So CIS is the major ID or the prefix, but really the full name of our major is Computer Information System. So that's much longer. That is not a primary key. And for this one we would choose varchar, or a variable length character field. And so if you just look at the number of characters in computer information systems, that's already in the high 20s. And so there's probably other majors out there that are even more characters. And so to be safe, I'm going to put an upper bound of 50 characters for a major name. And let's not allow nulls, so it would require, if a major's in there, it requires a name. Next, each major is going to have some amount of credits needed to graduate. So maybe we'll have a field in here for credits needed. That's not a primary key since it's not uniquely identifying each record in the database. And for this one, I think a small int would work. A small int is going to be values between roughly negative 32,000 and positive 32,000. We're never going to need to worry about fractions or decimals since we'll never have half of a credit hour. And each different major is going to have a certain number of credits required for graduation. And so we're not going to allow null values for that. That will be required. And then number of students enrolled. So that will differ per major, number of students currently enrolled in the major. And for that one, let's say, this could be a very large university. We have universities in the world that have 80, 90, 100,000 students, and so there might possibly be a major in the future that has more than 32,000 students enrolled. That's why I'm going to choose an int for this, because an int will allow me to have a value between roughly negative 4 billion to positive 4 billion, and so that's safer. Yes, it takes up more space than a small int, but we're prepared better for the future, and we will not allow null values there either. Course fees. So in CIS we have course fees of roughly $75 per course for students who take them. Maybe accounting has some too. And so we want to specify those course fees here. Oops, course fees. And notice that all of our attributes are in Pascal case. I am capitalizing the first letter of each word in here. I'm not using any spaces. I'm not using any underscores. And this is the standard convention that we are following in CIS 310. Course fees is not a primary key since it will not uniquely identify each record in this database table. And so this number could possibly have pennies associated with it, right? This is a dollar amount, And our course fees could be $25, they could be $24.99. So I know that for this I'm going to need a number field. An int field should never be used, ever, for currency. And then number requires something in parentheses. It requires actually two things separated by a comma. The first number is going to be the total number of digits in this number. And so I'm thinking that the maximum course fee for a particular course might top out at $999.99. It will never exceed that. And so I'm going to choose 5, 2. And let me write that value for you here. This would be the maximum value that I could put in a number 5, 2 data type. And so 5 refers to 1, 2, 3, we don't include the decimal, 4, and 5 characters total. 5 characters total in here. The 2 corresponds to the number of characters after the decimal place. So a number 5, 2, the largest value we could store in there would be $999. Allow null, I'm going to say no. You might be thinking, but there is majors out there that don't have any course fees. And you're right, but we would just specify the course fees as 0. We wouldn't put a null value in there. We just put a 0 in there for the dollar amount of course fees. Next, if we wanted a date field in here, maybe the date the major was first offered at the university. And that could be a date field here. And we won't allow null values there. And nothing needs to go after the parentheses. The date data type in Oracle can store both dates and times. If you don't put a time in there, then it just defaults to 12 a.m. midnight. And then let's put in here a building ID, right? Because each building is going to have their classes offered at a certain building on campus. And let's say that our university identifies each building with a number. And chances are our university is not going to have more than 32,000 buildings. So that's okay. And we are going to allow null values here. Why? Because there might be a major that is offered only online, and there is not an associated building with that major. So allowing null values, that's okay. And I forgot here, building ID would be a foreign key. Why would this be a foreign key? Because there is another table out there which is a list of buildings. And one building can offer or have classes for many majors. Our building, the Franke College of Business, has accounting, marketing, economics, finance, and so on. Many majors offered at one building. That's why building ID would be added as a foreign key in a table of majors. You might be thinking, shouldn't student ID go in here, right? Because aren't students going to have majors? Yes, they will. But if we have student ID in this table as a foreign key, then our relationship is backwards. We have a one-to-many relationship between students and majors, actually a many-to-many. But student ID will not get a foreign key in the major table. If anything, major would be a foreign key inside of the students table, because one major will have many students. Many students could be in one major. Another foreign key to add would be campus ID, because a major is going to be offered at a certain campus. NAU has several campuses, and our business majors are offered at the Flagstaff Mountain campus. I am not going to allow null values here because there could be a campus ID for, say, our online-only students and so on. And whenever you are making a table or thinking about data types, it's always good to think of what would this finished product look like? What would a table look like that had these data types in it? And so it's helpful to draw one out. And so I've done that for major. Remember, in a table of majors, every record in the database, or every row, is going to be a major. So if I scroll down here, I'll show you my table, my major table that I created here. And so these are all of the attributes that I declared in the previous page, and then I've just put in some data. I've made some data up. So here is the primary key. There's never going to be a duplicate here. the name of the major, number of credits needed, number of students enrolled, course fees. Remember, we can have 2 values after the decimal place. These don't have to be 0, 0. The date that the major was first offered, building ID, and since this field does allow null values, I put one in there. Let's say that this international studies major is an online-only major, so there is no building associated with the classrooms, so a null value there is fine. But probably campus ID 004 correlates to the online campus, and so that's an appropriate number for that. Our building on campus for the Franke College of Business is building 81, so I put that there. And I assume Flagstaff Mountain campus would be a building ID of 001.